Hello and welcome to Grocer Pod. My name's Sean Kosednar. I have two guests today. Ward Ragland, who owns multiple stores. Ward is joined by OpSense CEO Stu Gavurin. We are going to be talking about how OpSense can help your stores. Before we get to them, I want to remind you to please subscribe to Grocer Pod. Subscribing means new episodes will be downloaded for you each week. You can find Grocer Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform you use. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Stu, why don't we start out by telling everyone what OpSense is and what it is that you do?
OpSense is broadly a monitoring solution, monitoring platform. And what it simply is a software system that collects data from wireless sensors that are put throughout an environment for the purposes of food safety, food storage, et cetera. And then based on the rules of our customer, can help them know if things are okay or if they're not okay in terms of safety or equipment, and then helps them get a sense of what they do to be okay. So broadly, it's a monitoring and reporting platform.
That's great. And Ward, can you tell everyone about your stores and how you all utilize OpSense?
Yeah, we have 9 stores spread out over about a 1 hour circle around Huntsville, Alabama. So we have originally had been manually monitoring our cases in the stores. It's a very expensive part of our business, the refrigeration aspect, all the way from medium temps down to low temp and on into the back room, into the equipment room. And over the years, we've continued to try to find better and better ways to monitor that. Before it was recommended to me, we were actually doing just a manually monitoring it, which actually worked pretty effectively at staying on top of a case that might be going down or any other temperature issue that is outside of a normal cycle of what temperature cases do, different temperature cases do. And another retailer, Todd and Chad Murphy, had installed the OpSense program in their stores, and it had a lot of luck with it. And so we gave it a try in our stores and have seen a lot of tremendous amount of success with it. It took a few days to get it dialed in because there are normal cycles, as we all know, with refrigeration cases, defrost cycles, et cetera, that go on. But what we've been able to do effectively, and Stu, do you recall about how long we've been on your program? How many years? Has it been
about 4 years now, I think.
4 years.
Yeah.
Over the course of 4 years, I'd say conservatively, we've managed to save north of $150,000 to maybe $200,000 worth of product that we haven't lost because we were able to manage a problem that was showing up and then get on it before we lost the product, whether it be a full case of meat, frozen food lineup, produce, dairy, all, much less some kind of major issue with one of the compressors, or even what's worse is a rack system. When you have a blowout on a rack system, the expense of getting that back going again is very expensive. So I was talking to my counterpart that helps run the grocery end of the stores, and we talked this morning about it, and there's something going on every week, whether it's a ice cream case or smoked meat case, any other frozen food. And what it does is it effectively notifies our maintenance team that there's an issue, but it also notifies the supervisor and the store manager as to what might be going on. And instead of watching a problem like we did before, when we were just manually monitoring temperatures and watching them, and it frequently is one of those deals where we were doing it several times a day, and it takes about 15 minutes to walk the store to manually monitor. The tendency would be, well, let's watch it and see if it's okay. Well, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, it's still a problem. Then instead of getting it addressed at 10 in the morning, it's 5 or 6 in the evening when our maintenance team has to rush out to one of our 9 stores and address the problem. And in the meantime, you've got a significant potential of loss of product, whether it's frozen food, meat, whatever the department is. But between loss of product, then you've got the labor to deal with the loss of product. Every store manager and owners walked in on a ice cream case that is leaked out into the store from overnight, and that's something that gets prevented with the OpSense program. It may be notified at midnight, but at least you're able to get in there at midnight, fix the problem, and then it's not an issue from a loss of product standpoint. But not only loss of product and labor, you got loss of sales because you've got to replenish the product. And then if there's some discretionary items in frozen food, when you've had a frozen food case go down, you're better off just throwing everything away rather than risking somebody getting a bad product. Same thing in smoked meat, fresh meats, the same way, dairy. So it really is a significant preventive situation out in the retail side of it, and even more so I wouldn't say more so, but equally important is trying to get in the back room and saving a compressor that might be struggling with a certain aspect of the equipment in the back room. So it takes care of all those responsibilities for the management and the people at store level and the maintenance team to do the preventive work rather than trying to come back and put a Band-Aid on something that could have been addressed on the front end. So it's truly been a home run for us. And I'd say that number that I threw out there earlier is easily conservative. Because if you're talking 4 years, if you got 9 stores and you could easily add up a big number on a yearly basis. So I would say the number that I gave was truly conservative. So we've been extremely happy. We've recommended it to some other retailers too, and had them considered. I haven't kept up with who has or has not joined it, but anybody that's come to me and talked to me about it, I'd have to say I'd always given it glowing reviews. And the coordination with the company has been always really good. We're fortunate. We've got some really good maintenance staff. We've got 3 gentlemen that take care of the stores. And it's been easier on them. It is a little difficult getting 2 o'clock in the morning notices, but it's better to get that than to get 9 a.m. when there's a total blowout. So it's been a significant help. And the coordination with Stu and his staff has been really easy. The implementation is a lot simpler than what I would have thought. And we've not had any kind of follow-up on any kind of issue that we've needed to be addressed by their company.
That's amazing and such a glowing review. Stu, can you explain a little bit about how the technology works and like some of the implementation process and just what goes into monitoring and maintaining optimal conditions in grocery stores?
Sure, I'll do my best, Ben. Please direct me if I go off course. I did want to add one thing to Ward's savings. I think it was Ward that you or one of your guys told me that not only is there loss of product, but I guess when you have to tape off an area because it doesn't have product, you're now dealing with couponing or comping customers so that they come back the next day. And that's a sort of another hidden cost that we discovered by working with you and your team, as I recall. So how does it work? Okay, so the way to think about it is there's really in the cloud a central pretty straightforward to use platform in which everything is defined. Everything from the rules for food safety or equipment health, et cetera, et cetera. The users who has permissions, and including the configurations of the stores, et cetera. So think of the platform as for each of our customers is sort of pre-configured and pre-set up. And what happens then, I'm talking a little bit about the implementation process because it gives you a sense of how it works. So then what happens is we send pre-configured equipment to the stores, or our guys show up at the stores and they put in a simple communications device like you would in your home internet router or something like that talks cellular. And so we put that up, and then literally we work with them, but we adhere food safe, kind of industrial strength sensors that collect all sorts of data, humidity, temperature, could be other things as well, that just get placed, literally adhered into the units where we think is the best place to measure it, maybe the hottest place, maybe a place away from a fan, and turn them on, and they communicate to that, router, that access point, and up to us. And from there, anybody who wants to look at the data on a phone or on, a computer, et cetera, just do it. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but basically wireless sensors that last a long time, maybe 7 years, communicate to a device and go up, and then Ward or anybody else can say, these people should see this part of the system or these stores or this data or these sets of reports. And, it's configured and they see it. And Ward's team does a lot of stuff.
Is this for the whole store? Is it only for frozen, or like any sort of cooler compressor, or like everywhere in the store?
Everywhere they want it. So we don't manufacture the sensors. What we do is we have sensors that interact well with our software. So if he wanted hot holding, we could do that. If he wanted doors open or closed, we offer that. I think in Ward's environment, it's throughout the store, his bunkers, his freezers, his displays, his grab and goes, as well as his walk-in. So it's mainly cool and frozen, but it's anywhere that Ward and his team feel they need to monitor, that we monitor.
Yeah, so sky's really the limit. Ward, how important is this data to you? I mean, I know you gave an estimate on how much you've saved over the course of your time with OpSense, but just truly talk about how important this data is to you, especially in terms of food quality and shrinkage.
Well, we don't manage the data a lot. We just really look at management of temperatures and making sure that what is set up for each individual case, the coolers, the freezers that hold product in the back, the meat coolers, et cetera, produce coolers. When there's a notice, it goes straight to the phone, and then our team gets right on it. Based on what's reported. And that's really the extent that we just want it as a management tool. When there's a problem, we go put the fire out. Beyond that, we don't do any study or management of the data. Although it's available, it's not something that is a priority for us to keep. We just want to try to eliminate needless loss of refrigeration and product throughout the store.
I would imagine being able to monitor those temperatures and things really does keep your products exactly where you want them in whatever environment they're really meant to be in.
Absolutely. And that's there's so many temperature sensitive departments within a grocery store. I truly feel like that's a fringe benefit. We're keeping better product day in, day out for the customers by eliminating these issues and getting on them before they become a major problem. So that's certainly an aspect that is very important and plays a part in how valuable this system is.
I was just going to jump in and just say every customer uses it sort of the way they want. We have some customers that are actually quite analytical. So there's a series of reports that can help them understand, how units or units in comparison have been working over time, if they've seen maybe what we would call a lot of events, et cetera. So we are, there are those groups that, use our reports or can even download our data. The data is there, so they can download and do whatever analysis they want. But we also have a series of reports for compliance, for health checking, for trending, all the rest of that. And so different groups do what they need. A lot of times they use those reports. Sorry to jump in. I know you want to ask a question. Even to talk to their equipment manufacturers to say, well, you may not think we got a problem, but we got a problem. And they show that history.
I think that's super useful. Are there any energy saving benefits? I would imagine being able to monitor things this closely would allow you to make sure that everything's running optimally and maybe produce some energy savings as well.
Yeah, I'll jump in and then I'll let Ward talk about his organization because I don't know how they use it for energy. So one thing we could do is we actually can monitor energy draw if they want that. But let's just go with temperature and humidity, which is like the 99% of what this world is all about. A lot of especially when looking at frozen, some of our customers take a look at it and realize that their frozen holding temperatures are pretty cold, and they've been maintaining the units pretty cold. So their facilities people have realized that they could, up the settings, maybe a few degrees and still maintain safety. And they have come back and said that the energy savings have been fairly significant, especially on frozen units. And Ward, you probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, we haven't explored that. We just really primarily have used it as a maintenance tool to keep everything running optimally. We haven't used it in any kind of form of or addressed it in any kind of form of energy savings on our end.
Well, maintenance brings me to my next topic. Stu, I think one of the most interesting possibilities is the predictive maintenance. And as someone who woke up yesterday morning to find out that I needed a new garage door motor, I could have really used some predictive maintenance. Can you explain how that works and what it means for AWG members?
So in terms of predictive maintenance, there's people use it in several ways. So one of the first ways they use it is that a lot like Ward's groups, we're able to give them reporting on which units are triggering problems. So let's just talk about the fact that, yes, you can notify an alert, but you can also have settings in there that just say, when the conditions go above here, just record it for me. Record it for me. Record it for me. And so that some of our customers use that to start saying, well, and get notified when they're seeing a whole set of unhealthy readings starting to happen. At that point, there's a series of reports where people can look back as far as the unit's gone and start comparing over time, what's going on to see if things are trending in the wrong way, if it's general mean holding temperature or whatever has slowly risen, et cetera, et cetera. And we are able to show patterns of, let's say slowly rising or maybe some spikes. And people use that a lot to predict that they need maintenance at this point, that they need somebody to look at the unit before it fails. It's even before it thrashes. So the idea is, between reporting on, too many anomalous events along with these, time series graphs that sort of show trends, a lot of our customers are able to say, yeah, this unit is starting to fail. And to Ward's point, a lot of times it helps those with CPC or rack systems that, are very sophisticated in terms of their data, but they themselves aren't giving the big picture of what's going on by the food. And so this helps them understand that by, the food and the viability of the units, they're starting to have problems. So they will often use that data, as I said before, to talk to the guys who bend metal and everybody counts on to store the food, that they ought to come in and help.
Ward, how easy is it to use the OpSense platform and everything? Like, I can see how that could be a complicated process.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I wanted to emphasize earlier is that it's basically a notice is sent to the phones, and you don't have to get on a computer. You don't have to print out a sheet or print out any data and do a lot of study. And it basically notifies the people that you want notified, whether it's a meat supervisor and his meat staff and the maintenance guys, or if it's in grocery, it goes to the grocery supervisor, the store manager, and the maintenance staff. Throughout the day, it is a very, very simple system, user-friendly system to use. And I'm not sure we emphasize that enough. It's not a real complicated system to actually be a part of, to allow yourself to manage this part of your business.
Well, Ward, as we start wrapping up here, you've already spoke so glowingly about OpSense, but give AWG members just one quick reason why they should consider OpSense.
I can't really think of any other additional comment other than it really helps you run a better operation, without a doubt, because it just not only does it save you money, I think it gives a better product to the customer base that we service, because you're managing any kind of problem ahead of time rather than coming in there and fixing it after the fact. And the customer day in, day out is getting a more consistent, better product than what we had installed before. So I can't say enough good things about the program, and I would recommend it to any retailer that is considering some sort of program that they want to address from a management of their cooling and freezer needs.
And Stu, can you give listeners a sneak peek of what they can learn at your booth at the upcoming Innovation Showcase?
Sure. I think when they come to Innovation Showcase, one of the most important things to learn is, we will provide, a walkthrough and a demo of the system. They will be able to get their questions answered in terms of, what does it look like? How hard is the implementation? What advantage do I get as an AWG member in terms of being able to, take on OpSense with less risk? So we're sending, not just sales guys, we're sending a salesperson plus one of our top fulfillment people, because I think in the world of Ward and others, they see a lot of this, and what they want to know when they come to the booth is not only what we do, but how are they taken care of? And, I'm sort of setting it up for Ward, but one of our differentiators, we can talk about capabilities or price, et cetera, is meeting those people and getting a sense of the care they're going to get is critically important. Ward, does that make sense? It's like almost meeting us is almost as important as the system.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is you all came in, installed the system, and we just have not had any significant follow-up issues that you would expect on a system like this that integrates all the different components that it does. It just really has worked seamlessly from day one. Once we got everything dialed in and got accustomed to the different nuances of various pieces of equipment within a store, whether it's going on learning that it's a defrost cycle and not a piece of equipment that's on failure, et cetera, et cetera. The phone calls to address problems or issues with OpSense have just been limited to minimal or none. And of course, I'm very fortunate. We've got a really good maintenance staff that bought in early, and the same is true with the management and store. Actually, people at store level, everybody's really been happy with the program, but the lack of any kind of need for phone calls and questions has been very, very limited. And I think Stu can probably speak to that also.
Well, thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And thank you all for listening. Again, please like and subscribe to GrocerPod so you can automatically hear all the latest things going on around AWG. And until next time, this has been Sean Kosednar for GrocerPod.